So the last video that I uploaded features the audio of a very brief conversation that I had with an alcoholic homeless person in Trinidad, Colorado. And I think this is a topic that opens up a lot of things to discuss. I enjoy talking with the homeless. Not for longer than necessary, but I remain a certain level of openness when I'm in a big city, and I don't care what big city it is. And I remember those powerful conversations that I've had with Portland's homeless, getting down and squatting so I'm at their level, not talking down to them as they're sleeping on their cardboard box. And I've shown compassion and empathy. I haven't given out a lot of money. I've given a lot of my conversational time. I've given my energy to those homeless that I've met. And I've talked to them about the Matrix. I talked to a homeless black man in downtown Dallas about the dark grid and what he understood. David Icke aside, this man understood things. This man was a wise man in this modern-day Babylon in downtown Dallas, Texas. Going earlier, I think about my experiences in Portland, Oregon, talking with one homeless person who was talking about, when we keep drilling and taking all the oil, it creates certain problems within the earth itself. And he actually was drawing with a piece of paper, and he had a chart. He was laying out how doing this can cause more earthquakes. Some of you may disagree with him. That's cool. But the fact is, he thought this out. He wasn't completely blown out of his mind. But at the end of the day, a lot of people stay stuck in those situations because of alcoholic issues, because of drug issues. I had a drug issue in the year 1999. I have a little bit empathy for people that are in so much pain that they lose it. And they lose everything because they lose it up here. And I've also talked about solar flares, and sometimes we see more activity on the planet. Violence, war, drug addiction. It's not all negative. There's some awesome stuff that takes place too, but you've got to look at the trends when we're looking at the ills of our society. There are trends. We see cycles. There are certainly cycles when it comes to upticks in gang violence. I've noticed that in Portland as well. Read about a solar flare, next day read about a couple of gang shootings, and the whole fucking city's baffled. I'm not baffled. So there's knowledge to share, and so I look for opportunities to share that knowledge because most people walk around like zombies, whether you're in a small town or whether you're in a big city. And I cannot tell you that just because someone's off the grid that they're more awake, that they love nature more. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes they're off the grid because if they were to be on the grid, they'd be in fucking jail. The point is we had a great talk. We talked about Monsanto, Whole Foods, not the corporation, but actual Whole Foods. He was talking about good corn and beans, no GMO. That gives you all your amino acids. Then I asked him, and I go, do you know about quinoa? Quinoa's got all in one. He's like, ooh, really? I'm like, yes, and it grows right over there. That's right. Quinoa can grow in the San Luis Valley. So that's another great reason to be here. We talked about Colorado, and just he's been here on the streets for some reason for 23 years, and he obviously has an issue. He has an issue with his alcohol addiction. This is actually raspberry lemonade. The only problem I've had with alcohol, with drinking, is that there was a drink the other day, a raspberry lemonade drink, and I wasn't paying attention, and I took the blanket because I was hot, and I went like this, and I had a drinking problem at that moment. I watched my glass go flying, and then there had to be a cleanup there, and there was just a fuck man, that was juice moment, so I had a drinking problem the other night. But as far as alcohol, I'm proud to say that I have not smoked cigarettes for 3 months, and I have not drank for a prolonged period of time. I think I had like a sip of wine last night. And I smoke less weed than I used to. But weed is still medicinal, but all in moderation. And I'm taking more time to meditate. And there was a video about grounding that I did. If you go on my channel, I don't post everything on Facebook. Check out my video, Introduction to Grounding Cord Meditation. I'm going into all this just to show I'm open to information, and I'm open to talking with people that are homeless, and I understand addiction having been there. And I understand that despite the fact some people may be intelligent that are on the streets, there's certain things some people got to deal with that monkey on their back. And sometimes it is all ignorance. It is pent-up anger and frustration as to how the world actually operates. This guy was open to me explaining how our current president is a part of the system. He had never heard of that before, but he was adamantly against Monsanto. All I had to tell him was as soon as this president got in office, he appointed the head of Monsanto to be the head of our agricultural department. And I think it was Clarence, it may be Thomas, former Monsanto lawyer. He's appointed to the Supreme Court. I think this was preceding Obama. This was done during the Bush years, if I'm correct. I'm thinking maybe 2005. See, all this is major shit, where you start to see corporations in bed with the government. So people really ought to spend less time with this capitalist, socialist, communist argument as to which system is the worst or best, because we are seeing mergers of corporations and state across the globe. So please move beyond isms. So I embrace opportunities to talk to an open-minded person. And sometimes someone's got to lose it all to be willing to listen to the truth. So he's like, wow, you're a really intelligent young man, blah, blah, blah. He's, after he went through his whole prejudice of young people, and I said, hey, there's not a whole lot of young people that understand what I'm saying, but the fact is I am almost 34, and I would say now, after all these years, there are more people closer to my age, men, women, that are hearing the things that I'm saying, and it makes me feel good to not just have people that are older than me hear what I'm saying, but people a little bit closer to my age and a little bit younger, female and male. That makes me feel like I'm really contributing something to the larger pool of information where there are people younger and older and the same age as myself. Because what I'm discussing involves all the generations. And young women and young men today, coming up teenagers, they really should hear my message because they're the ones walking into this nonsense. And I don't want to see them slaves to a society where you can either sell your flesh in one way or the other. And you can take that in a whole lot of different ways, can't you? Then this guy admits his racism. When he asked me where I'm from, I said, well, my dad's from Afghanistan. My mom was white. Oh, he's like, whoa. And he went, straight, and immediately assumed I'm a Muslim. Now, Ansari derives from the Ansars. The Ansars were Muhammad's bodyguards. It's true. I'm technically almost royalty in the world of Islam. So there's Ansari and there's Ansari with an I. We still descend from the same group, the tribe of Medina. The tribe of Medina, M-E-D-I-N-A. No relation to Deborah Medina, who ran for governor of Texas a couple years ago. So that history is there, although what I stand for is something far larger. I'm not religious. All of you know that. And you know my warnings for America. So there's something to my soul that I think picked this body, this spacesuit, that I get to have for a certain amount of time. And my spirit, this real intellect, this real passion, whatever, this soul is going to go back somewhere else. And I'm not getting new agey on you. There's scripture that alludes to reincarnation and living or eternal life in different ancient texts. Now, we're not going into that discussion, but this is about the soul's journey in this biological spiritual matrix. Not what color you are, it's what you do. That's where I'm hitting. That's the point beyond all this. I just explained a little bit more about myself and my understanding of identity, because my identity is to my soul. It's not whatever my flesh is. It's not what others see. But here we have a nice conversation, and he's conflicted. He's like, well, I'm a fucking racist. And I just had a really interesting conversation with a really badass young man. He said, how old are you? I'm like really young looking to people. I'm freaking 34 years old, but I feel like a gosh darn old soul who picked this body to learn certain things. Maybe a little bit of empathy that I never had before. Who knows? But I'm here on this planet, to learn some very specific things. And I'm supposed to say some very specific things, and I'm supposed to grow in some very specific ways. And you know what my growth experience was? So he's telling me he's a racist, and he's making jokes about, do Arabs like to fuck little kids? Really sick shit. He said, it's not your fault, you're a nigger. I mean, he's all laughing. He's sitting there every now and then drinking. He's doing straight shots. And he's ranting about Monsanto, and he's eating Cheeto Puffs. So, his cerebral cortex is not all there. Now, I ranted, in a Facebook blog this morning about cognitive failure. People that are only locked into hating Obama, but they don't see the new world order that supports him and built the platform. Just like Obama said, you didn't build this yourself. He didn't build what he's doing himself. And that you got to know. He didn't build this himself. It was built for him. And the guy just fucking came out, took his shirt off, did a fucking striptease. And America threw up the dollar bills going, yeah, baby, yeah. Yeah, baby, yeah. Shake that ass. Show me what you're working with. And even though we knew everybody that was linked to Obama, Monsanto, Zbigniew Brzezinski, the military-industrial complex, Goldman Sachs, Lockheed Martin, the who's who of the New World Order, the who's who of the Bilderberg Group, we knew this before Obama became the president. Nothing was a surprise. Anyway, this guy was like trying to say Bilderberg, but he kept saying Burger Barn. But he knew, and our minds were connecting. And let me tell you this, when I first went up to him and said hi to him, earlier in the day, I left and he had some attitude, and I came back and he was happy to see me again. There was a first exchange with him where I was asking for some directions, and he's like, I'm just a fucking alcoholic. Fuck you. And I'm like, hey, dude, I've been there. You know, not there, but I was there. And hey, let me tell you what got me clean. He's like, I don't want to hear it. I walked away. But like I said, we met again accidentally. And I felt something amazing and beautiful about his spirit. I felt like I could see his spirit smiling at me before I first came up to talk to him. That's what magnetically drew me. I will go in and go, I've got nowhere to talk to. I got a cup of coffee right here. I'm taking a break from the internet activity. I'm out in the sunshine. I'm in the real world. The real world. I'm going to have a friend today. And it's going to be more than a Facebook private message going, hey, how you doing? Cool, I'm good. Things are calmer now. How are you? Good. Just, crazy world, hey? Crazy world. Come here often? I do come here often. Hey, didn't we just do this yesterday? Matrix, black cat, crossing twice. So that's why I embrace those moments. And he wants to throw that, oh, well, I'm racist, and you're from the Afghan side, and you're, well, I don't need, like, meltdown, program dissolving. It's like, what was I doing, healing or something? I'm sitting there talking to him, and he's like, he's having maybe a different view. Man, this young man's different. He's not the other like the other punks. He's talking to me about something real. He ain't treating me like a piece of crap. He's been there. He's done that. Now he's talking about something I don't even understand, but I agree with him. And yet I'm Afghani. Oh yeah, Allah Allah, Allah Allah, Allah la 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 la. I just got to hear a rap song to this one. I can't do the full ring of the tongue, but if I work on it, someday I could pull it off. The point is, I said something. I said something to him that made him think differently about hhis worldview, and that I get to take away. I also get to take away. I didn't fucking blow up on him. Now in that tape, I'm hitting some important points. There's one building that I know of that imploded in on itself. It's Building 7. I said there's several buildings. There are several buildings that were demolished, but they didn't come down in on themselves on 9/11. Only 3 buildings did. But the fact is, I'm rattling off a number of different things. I'm kind of throwing it back to them, dealing with the racist all of a sudden. Instead of getting reactive and going, fuck you, no wonder you're a drunk, which is the actual truth. If you harbor anger, if you harbor racism, if you harbor these lower vibrational feelings towards others, the Arabs fuck little kids, or if someone's in your mind where you believe this shit, then that which is in your mind is fucking with you on a whole other level. Always be aware of that. Those that are under some form of mind control, on one level politically, may not have an accurate view of how reality actually works. And so they're turning towards something. They're turning towards a drug. They're turning towards a drink. Another drink, just one more drink, so they can stuff those feelings. What are those feelings? It's called consciousness. A lot of very conscious, godly people have gotten into some very worldly things to forget who they are. And there are a lot of beautiful souls out there that are stuck in heroin addiction, crack addiction, meth addiction, other forms of addiction, alcoholism, and smoking pot can be very medicinal, but there's some strains that aren't very medicinal that just get you high. So, take that into account, that marijuana is medicinal and can calm us down. It can also throw someone off. And the point is that having compassion for this person was part of my own lesson, and not responding with anger. Because you guys have seen me get really angry many, many times in the past when I've come across racist bullshit. Thank you for watching. Find me on Facebook. AlexAnswery.tv is the website. See you next time.